here we are again, nicely thawed out following the recent dump of snow and suitably bagged from our burn suppers. We're ready to serve up a muckle dollop of Friday fun to warm your cockles and whet your appetite for the week ahead. It's hello from me, Fiona Scott.
Hello from me, Ellis Butcher.
Hello from me, Kathie Griffiths.
And hello from me, Stephen Day.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
What an intro that was, Fee.
Fantastic.
Give us some of those words again.
I'm totally confused.
We're bagging.
Bag it. Bag it.
Yeah, you know, you get bag it after haggis.
Bag it.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Is that bloaty then? A wee bit bloaty.
Yeah. Full up.
What was the muckle one?
Muckle? Muckle? Oh, that muckle's big.
Literally big. Look at that big muckle stone. Hey, we're getting...
I loved it. That's the best
like
intro
that.
We've had. That's the best intro we've had.
And getting our Scottish words in really early.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, I got confused the other day. Someone was banging on about, messages. I've got messages in the car. And I was thinking like little bits of paper, scrawled notes to hand out to people. And I must have looked really confused. And she had to explain, shopping. It's like shopping. It's not like notes, like messages to people. Like I've got a message for you to pass on. It's shopping. The weird and wonderful Scottish words. There you go. Have you heard that, Alice? Message.
Do you know what? I think I have. And it did throw me as well. But that's the beauty of the language up here. I love it. It's fantastic.
Here we go. We can all gung for the messages this weekend.
I've got monkey mind. Do you know what monkey mind is?
I'm beginning to
monkey
worry.
Monkey mind is when you've got so much stuff going on. You jump from one thing to the other, and it's called monkey mind.
Anyway, it's
so
nearly February.
What have we got? Hooray! Is that a good thing?
Definitely.
I'll cheer anything right now.
I don't know about anybody else, but January is my least favourite month. So, yeah, February is a nice short month, and then we're into spring. Yes. Yeah. I've got snowdrops. Anybody else got snowdrops?
Mine haven't appeared. We've got a bed full of them, but nothing has poked its way through.
Oh, funnily enough, I never noticed them until the snow cleared. And when the snow cleared this week, there were all the little snowdrops. It was lovely.
I'll maybe have to look a wee bit closer when it's not dark when I go home. And when I get up. And then lunchtime. No, I kid.
It is getting lighter. It's definitely getting lighter.
It is.
Certainly on the evenings. I'm sure of it. There is light at the end of January. Oh, you see, Uncle Geordie's agreeing with us. Fiona's clock.
I noticed the other day in the garden that you could hear the bird song, and there was something new and uplifting and kind of looking forward in that bird song that I detected. And it was like, wow. And there was a kind of new light to the sky. And I think we have turned a big corner. January can be a tough month for a lot of people. But as Fiona says, we're on the way now. We're on the march towards spring.
You got to love his optimism.
And March.
Now, Ellis, you started in March, didn't you?
Yeah, you can be a motivational speaker.
I did at the end of March 2020.
Well, you've still got the February snow and the middle of March to go through before the snowstorms in April, probably, just to warn you.
I was telling a friend last night who has moved up to Oban from down south, and he's actually from my area originally, which is quite weird. He was a photographer called Phil. Hi, Phil, if you're listening. And Phil, Phil's retired now. But I was telling him about spring last year, and I said, honestly, the spring up here last year, I thought was just amazing. But anyway, I'm going to shut up banging on about spring.
Yeah, well, he's not, because he's going to talk about a disaster now, aren't you, Ellis?
Do I need to do the Titanic thing? Sorry.
I'll be dead quick about this. What's the worst thing that you've ever spilt in your kitchen, people?
Exploding eggs. Remember that time I boiled the eggs?
What about you, Fee?
I don't know. Milk always. I don't like spelling milk.
I'll tell you what happened to me, right? The other night, it was dead late. It was about, I don't know, getting on for 10 to 1. I was quite tired and thought, you know what? I just need a little drink of cocoa before I go to bed. And I reached up, half asleep, pulled out the packet of cocoa, and it went absolutely everywhere. It was like a mushroom cloud of cocoa powder. I was on my hands and knees. It just got into everything. It didn't matter how much you cleaned; it just made it worse. The more water you put on it, it was like I was in a mud bath in the end. I think it was about 2:30 before I cleared it up. So whatever you do, don't be spilling cocoa in your kitchen late at night, because it's not a way to get off to sleep.
So from sleepy time and cocoa, I've got something that'll wake everyone up and get everyone wanting to get up and get out there. I caught up with a guy called Andy Corbe this week, who's from Oban, and he's involved in a weird and wonderful new sport called foiling. Now, it's not sat there sort of with bits of tin foil making origami out of it and shapes and things. It's actually floating on water. So, so think windsurfing, but thinking the board is actually above the water. So it sounds really incredible. And let's listen into what he had to say about it.
Hi, Kathie. How you doing?
I'm okay. But I'm keen to find out about this new exciting sport that's quite literally taking off in Oban. So it's called foiling. So what on earth is foiling?
Yeah, so this is a really new sport. It's kind of, I guess the evolution has been coming along over the last few years, but 2020 was really the year that it all came together and the new sport was born. In fact, it's so new they haven't really settled on a name for it yet. It's wing surfing, wing foiling, winging, wing dinging. There's all sorts of terms for it. But it's a fantastic new sport, and there's a few of us in Oban right now learning to do it, and we're having a ton of fun with it.
So can you actually describe it? Can you sort of paint a picture for us, Andy? If we were stood on the beach watching this happen, what would we see?
Well, I describe it as the magic flying carpet ride. So what you have is essentially a surfboard with a hydrofoil bolted onto the bottom of it. And the hydrofoil creates lift. So as soon as you start getting some forward motion and getting some speed up, the lift from the hydrofoil actually pushes the board up out of the water, which then results in a lot of speed because you've got extremely low friction. You haven't got the board being pushed through the water anymore. And in order to get the force to actually do that, to get going in the first place, we use these handheld wings. So this is something that's evolved, I guess, from windsurfing and kite surfing. The wings themselves, they've been experimenting with since the 1980s. They've had various different forms that they've tried to use. So rather than having a mast as they use with windsurfers, the idea is just to have something that you can just hold in your hand to get the power with. But the problem is always that it requires a lot of energy to hold this thing in your hands and drag a surfboard through the water because there's so much friction there. So it's never taken off up until now. And the foiling part of it, the hydrofoils have been around for a long time. I guess in the 1950s, they started using them on ferries. I believe the UK has had a few ferries operating between the France and the UK using hydrofoils. And then probably about 10 years ago, kite surfers started using them, and they were fantastic for just getting ridiculous speeds with. But you've always got a problem with a kite in that it's always pulling you around. And one of the things that we've discovered in the last 10 years with these foils is that they're extremely efficient at riding waves. So you don't necessarily need a breaking wave. All you need is a bump of water. And as long as it's that little bit of a hill that it's creating, you can surf down it under the water just like dolphins do. And once people discovered that, they were like, wow, we could actually just start riding these hydrofoils on waves. So that then probably in 2017 led to something called downwinding, where people get SUP boards and they have one of these hydrofoils bolted to the bottom, and they go out into the middle of the ocean, find some big swell, paddle onto a wave, and then they just start riding the ocean swell that's just been created by the wind. And these guys are doing huge distances, 30, 40, 50 kilometers in a few hours, just riding just on the power of the waves, which is incredible. But there again, you're always limited to, you've got to have a stretch of water that you're happy to go out on, and you've got to paddle to get out there, and lots of logistics involved in, having somebody picking up at the other end if you're going to do 50 kilometers downwind. And then this is where it's been combined with the new handheld wings, which we can use to actually ride upwind, get on a wave, ride the wave back downwind, turn around, go back upwind again, and you're basically self-contained.
So I think you've told me that, that Oban, the beaches from Oban are an amazing space for this kind of sport. So I know you've been out at Ganavan recently. So is there a few of you who are doing this, or, how can people get involved with wanting to find out more?
I moved to Oban 2 years ago, and I'm big into kite surfing, and really there's only two good beaches that we have for kite surfing. Ganavan is one, but there's also a risk there because you've got a big stone wall right behind the beach, and you're always riding in quite strong onshore winds. And the other one is Tralee, which is a fantastic beach. But the problem we have is that the terrain influences the weather hugely. So the wind is never steady. It's always up and down, and some days are incredibly gusty. And when the wings came along, when I first saw it, I wasn't really that excited by it, because just looking at it, to me, it didn't look that exciting. But then people started talking about the incredible D-power. So the fact that when a big gust comes, you can spill all the air and you're not getting pulled around by this thing at all. And then that got me kind of thinking about the fact that these could be really good here. And then the other aspect is that you don't need anywhere to set up. You just need a very small area to pump up the wing, and then you just go off. So we've actually opened up a bunch of new spots. We're going in the Kara Sound, near where the ferry is. There's, we've been out by Easdale a bunch of times. You're not limited. You can basically go anywhere. So that's just a really, really exciting time for us, because we're just opening up all these new spots. So there's a few of us in the sport right now. We all started just a couple of months ago, and there's a girl actually getting into it who will be the first person getting into it who hasn't had a foiling background from the kiting side of things. So this will be a raw beginner. So I'm really, really interested to see how somebody goes who's never ridden a foil before, and how long it takes to learn. Because for all of us, it was very quick. Day one, we were up and riding. So having that prior foiling experience was very useful. But I think it's going to be really easy to learn, actually, for pretty much anyone. And that's the exciting thing about this sport, is that if it is really that easy to learn, it's going to be accessible to so many people. And I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be massive.
And this is just one of the many sports, of course, that's happening in our town. And we spoke earlier in the week, didn't we? We were talking about this Facebook group that you've set up, Outdoors Oban, and that's been a phenomenal success already, hasn't it, with people showcasing the sports and activities that they're doing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. 650 members already, which is great. There's definitely, I guess one of the things with Oban is that it is an incredible environment for outdoor activities. And I think there's a lot of people out there doing things, but a lot of people are unaware of what other people are doing, which was one of the main reasons for setting up the page. I'm from Western Australia myself, which is extremely flat. The joke there is that you can watch your dog run anywhere for 3 days because we have no mountains. It's just so flat. But we had an incredibly vibrant rock climbing scene. When I was still in high school, I started rock climbing, and I was that kind of became my big sport. My big passion was rock climbing. And despite having barely any cliffs, we just had a couple of quarries around the city. There was a lot of people out there, and having that environment, having that community meant that any new people could get into it very easily. There was plenty of people to ask questions and learn from, and get mentors from. And I think that that's something that Oban really needs, is I guess having mentors and having that pathway into different sports, because there's so many different things you can do. I mean, paragliding is one of my other big sports, and this area around here is absolutely incredible for paragliding, but I'm the only pilot here. So I would love to see more people getting into it, because this is just such a great place for it. But unless there's mentors, unless there's people to, show you the path, then these things have a very high barrier of entry. It's very difficult to get into. And that's the idea of the Oban Outdoors page, is just to basically get people started sharing their adventures, sharing what they're doing, and inspire others to go, hey, that's something like I think I'd really like to do that. How do I get into that?
Well, there's plenty of inspiration. I've been sort of looking through, thinking, oh yeah, maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try it. And there's one lady who seems to be posting this sort of bagging trig spots. That's right, isn't it? Trigs.
Yeah, that's right.
Trigs,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah. And I thought, oh yeah, actually that could be quite fun, because it's something. There's quite a few in our area, isn't there, that people could go and conquer. So folks, if you're looking for inspiration and you want to get out there, get active, go check out the Outdoors Oban Facebook page, and maybe one day try out foiling as well. So watch this space.
That's right.
Thanks very much, Andy, for chatting to us.
You're most welcome. Thanks very much for having me on.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye.
That sounds like fun.
Doesn't it just? Do you fancy having a go?
Oh God, yeah. That sounds right up my street.
Ellis is shaking his head. Chicken.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit more of an indoorsy person.
Ellis likes messing about his cocoa in the kitchen.
As in indoors in the pub. Watching other people.
Cocoa sweeping.
Watching other people foiling across the water.
What's that sport? No, I've got it. Cocoa curling, because they sort of like sweep the floor when you're curling, don't you? With the sort of cross the ice, you can do cocoa curling.
I think that would be really messy. And wouldn't it melt the ice?
Okay, yes. Speaking about moving into spring, we usually at this time of year we're looking forward to all the music festivals going ahead. But yet again, because of COVID, they've started cancelling them. And last week's news was the Highlands and Islands Music Festival was cancelled. So, Breege Smyth, that's the chairperson of Highlands and Islands Music Festival, has been talking about this, but she's also talking about getting together with a lot of the other festivals just to try and, speak about post-virus comebacks for a lot of them and maybe getting together. So, yeah, let's hear what Breege has got to say. Hello, and today I'm joined by Breege Smyth, who's chair of Highlands and Islands Music Festival. We were absolutely devastated recently when we found out it was cancelled. So we're just wondering now, Breege, what's going to be happening this year?
Yes, it was a very hard decision to make, because we were the first festival to cancel last year. It's amazing that 12 months later we are now cancelling the May festival for 2021. But due to restrictions, due to what we consider will still be in place with regard to the movement of people, it was not practical for us to organise a festival in time for May. The dance part of the element of the festival is a competition, and it is affiliated to organisations. So therefore it has to meet criteria. It couldn't go online and it couldn't be conducted online. So following all of those guidance and all of that advice, we decided, okay, we have to make the decision, make it early, and pull the competition for May. We will try and do just post up some stuff online, but there will be no competition, there will be no festival. But the good news is, though, that because we knew this was coming up, because we knew we were going to face challenges in 2021, I called together other festivals in Oban, from Oban Live, Festival of the Sea, Feshlarna, the Mod, and to get together to see how everybody else was coping and what was going to happen in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, everybody now, we've had just about a year of this, and we are all desperate for some entertainment, missing our live music, because as we know, the West Coast, second to none as far as music and live events, festivals go. So yeah. So if there's any good news you can give us, Breege.
There is. Well, the great news was Feis Larna. They were there on Monday morning. It was a Zoom meeting on Monday morning. Everybody was there. And most of the Feis Larna, they can conduct their festival online. So they're doing the competitions and they're getting the young people involved. Other festivals are still the mod that's here for 2024. Everything looks to be in place for that as well. So there's elements going online. So we were looking at ways of doing both, of having a physical festival as and when that arises, but that at all times we try and get an online presence. And most of the festivals are coping and catering for that at this stage. So although the Highlands and Islands Music and Dance Festival has withdrawn for this one, other festivals would seem to be well in place they're later on in the year as well. So they seem to be absolutely fine to go ahead with a blended offering of coming to the town, having physical meetings, and also having online competitions. So I think you will hear from there was a very positive, everybody was very positive and upbeat. And yeah, a lot of them had funding in place. So they were just looking at ways of making it work for Oban.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. And I know, I mean, I've recently been listening to Celtic Connections online, and I mean, they've made a super job of it. It's lovely, and you can pick and choose what you go and see, and there's a good lineup. So yeah, while we're all stuck at home, that's an ideal solution, these online festivals.
And I think it's very important as well, because the only way now that musicians are reaching people and are earning a living is through streaming. And the likes of Spotify and that do not, it is a pittance, an absolute pittance what the musicians are paid. Spotify takes the premium and takes the membership, but any groups that are doing online concerts of their own, you should pay your £5, your £7 and support them that way. That way they get their money. Because with Spotify, again, they don't get the record sales, they don't get the CD sales. So they have suffered very badly. And that's why the festival's well done. All Feis Larna, the mod, they were all saying that, they'll be supporting them. And however they can, they'll be getting live music into Oban, even if it's going to be streamed.
Great. So, I mean, we'll hear about these as and when they're going to happen. I'm presuming through the Oban Times and through your cell on your lovely Sunday morning show on Oban FM. So there's plenty of ways that we'll let people know what's happening.
There is, yes, and Oban FM, absolutely, we're there to support all musicians. Once they send in their CDs or they contact us to give them a spot, we're more than happy to do that. One of the things that came out of the meeting on Monday morning, and we'll have another meeting, is we were looking at a lot of the organisations. There's crossover in where we're getting funding and what we're trying to do. So we are looking to be more collective, so that we all work together. And so that, for example, if I'm doing a fundraiser to raise money for the Highlands and Islands Music and Dance Festival, that we would then use the trail, the Cayley Trail, musicians that have come through Feis Larna. And again, the Oban Live, they give a platform to young musicians. And it's just that we all get together so that we know what we're doing and where we can slot in performances or fundraising and help each other out that way. So we've had our first meeting, and we will have another meeting to work on the ideas that came forward. But it would seem that there's a feeling that to have an Oban festival, an Oban event umbrella group pulling us all together, seeking major funding, would be a good way to support all of the events, not just music, but also sport, Festival of the Sea, which is educational. A lot of our festivals are educational. So it was very, very positive. And I think that what we're saying now is get together, make a really strong unit, big funding in place so that we hit the ground running in 2022. When we're sure at that stage that the restrictions will be lifted, the vaccinations will have been done, and that the pandemic will be controlled.
So big parties in 2022, please.
Oh, yeah, I'm buying the frock already. But yeah, I think
I'm definitely not, because I'll probably be 2 sizes bigger in 2022.
This is one of the frightening things. We're all missing getting dressed up, because that's a whole element as well. The choreography of the music and dance festival, to see them all coming along in their outfits and the makeup and hair and dresses, all of that, we're missing out on it. So we'll probably have some events, I'm imagining, in Oban, where we'll have to get dressed up. And then why do you get dressed up? Maybe so people can see you. But entertainment, events, it's a vital part of the Oban calendar. And we have to try now and support all our businesses, from our hospitality, our restaurants, our shops. One way of doing that is keeping our strong festival and event program going. We'll do what we can for this year, but certainly for 2022, we have to, wouldn't it be lovely in maybe June, July, August, that we were reading what's going to happen in 2022.
Oh yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes.
Breege.
So that's actually what we're going to work at.
And I think one of the key messages you put across there was that support each other. I mean, the businesses have been doing it, and the festivals are doing it. So that's, it's been good so far. It's been
amazing, and that's I was so like, one of the things that happened on Monday morning, we could not have got that group of people together representing every festival in Oban. There's just 2 apologies. Every festival in Oban. We could do it because of Zoom, and we're doing Zoom because of the pandemic. So there has been some good things, because you can slot in a 1-hour meeting without people having to disrupt their whole day's routine, as it were. But yeah, what we're all, and then we acknowledge then the businesses that have kept going, and venues have had to close. So we're now working to the next group is try and get our venues going, get our performers, get our children who play sport, music, all of that, get people active and get people back into Oban again.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for that, Breege. It was great to hear from you, and great to hear what's going to be happening over the next year or so. Thanks.
Well, I'm going to do a big... Are you finished?
No.
A big thank you to the Oban Times, because you have, bless you, you've all kept going, supporting and supporting all the communities and all the activities around the place. And it is lovely when you open the paper and you think, oh, there we are, we've been recognised. So well done, all the crowd in the Oban Times.
Thanks, Breege. And of course, we work with the cinema and the Oban FM, and just anybody. But like you said before, it's all about supporting one another. So
it is indeed. Thanks very much, Fiona. Thanks, you.
Breege. Yeah, like many other live music events, the 2021 Celtic Connections went online this year with footage recorded across many of Glasgow's venues, as well as captured remotely across the world. It's hoped that the packed programme inspires a true feeling of optimism and connections as it welcomes back so many musicians who have graced the festival stages across the year. Now, this started on Friday the 15th of January, and it finishes this Sunday, so you can still catch that on the Celtic Connections website and online platforms all through this weekend. But it's been amazing. There's been some really great stuff there. So we're going to play a wee bit. This was the Mackerel set, and it was arranged for the opening concert of the 2021 Celtic Connections and performed by the Connections 2021 Big Band. This setup is made up of a selection of traditional music as well as tunes written by Michael McGoldrick and Alan MacDonald.
Wow.
Oh, that cheered us all up. That was good.
Oh, I could be whirling around a festival field. It was just great. That's what we need. We all need to hear that every day to get us started. There we go.
So yeah, as always, we love hearing from you. So get in touch with your news, comments, photos, and even just to say hello. You can email us on somethingfortheweekend@obantimes.co.uk or contact us through the Oban Time Facebook or Instagram. You can read our stories online at www.obantimes.co.uk, and you can also subscribe to our page-turning digital edition. So until next time, it's goodbye from me, Fiona Scott.
Goodbye from me, Ellis Butcher.
Goodbye from me, Kathie Griffiths.
And goodbye from me, Stephen Day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.